WSTU. Time now for the Crown Car Care Show. Call in with questions and comments. 220-9788. 220-WSTU. Now, here's your host.
Welcome aboard, everybody. It's another hour of fun of car talk, and Big Frank and Todd, and we have a special guest here, Max. He's with us.
Yeah, welcome aboard, Max.
Welcome, Max. Say hi.
Hi.
Well, this is Todd from Crown Car Care. We have two locations here in Martin County to serve you. We are a full-service automotive and diesel repair shop. Our name is Crown Car Care. We've been in business, I believe, 13 years. Our original location was over on 3982 Southwest Bruner Terrace. Over there, we have a manager by the name of Chris. He'll serve you well. If you call over there, the phone number is 772-781-8000. That's 772-781-8000. If you call, Chris will answer, and we'll be able to serve you over in Palm City. And we also have a location on Cove Road. Cove Road, we've been there about 11 years. 4455 Southeast Cove. We're about a mile east of US 1, heading towards the ocean. Right there on your left-hand side or the north side of the street. You can't miss us. It says Crown Car Care. A lot of cars everywhere. You'll see our boys out there working. Mike's the manager over there. He'd be glad to help you. You need a set of wiper blades. You need how to set your clock on the radio. Confused with anything on your car. You want your oil checked, air pressure checked. We'd be glad to help you. Call over there. That phone number is 772-283-4707. It's 283-4707, and Mike can help you. Easiest number to remember, everyone out there, is 772-781-8000, the hotline number. And we can get you to either location through that, and either Joan or Chris will answer, and we'll be friendly, we'll be nice. We'll talk cars with you if you want. We'll talk anything you want. But we're there to help you. And if you have a question here on the radio, all you have to do is call us at WSTU, Heritage Station for the Treasure Coast.
That's 220-9788.
Well, thank you, Frank.
Yeah, 220-WSTU.
If you've been following us lately on our fabulous automotive hour, we always start with automotive news.
Yeah, things going on in the news.
And then we're going to follow with some fun facts, and then I'll talk a little bit about parts and parts quality. So we have three things on our agenda, and we'll start with Frank. Always opens up with some news. Give us what you got there, Frankie.
All right, upstart EV maker to tempt consumers with a $3.6 million 1,150 horsepower owl, and that's being debuted at the Paris show.
It's over $3 million for one car, but it has a lot of horsepower. And I saw a picture of it. It looks cool.
Yeah.
I wonder how many they'll sell.
I only have to sell just a few, right?
To make it big ends meet at that price.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot more automotive upstarts with the electric car world, but we're also hearing a lot of news about existing electric car companies that sometimes isn't so good.
Yeah. Tesla's in the news. They're also at the Paris show, and they're introducing some utility vehicles.
Oh, okay. They have an X model now, which is like a hatchback version of the S model, but that'd be nice to see some SUVs.
Right, and Ferrari plans to launch a Monza retro-style supercar.
Ooh, I bet that one's up there in price, huh?
Right, absolutely.
Got to be more than $1 million, I'm sure.
Yeah.
If the electric car is selling for 3.6, I don't know what they're asking, huh?
Good night, Irene.
I heard Elon Musk has been in the news again lately.
Yes.
What's he been doing?
Well, he's
What hasn't he been doing?
he's been in the news for a couple different things. One of the things was 4 days ago, he settled with the SEC, and he stepped down as the board chairman of Tesla.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that was a good thing. I think it might, from a strategic standpoint, I think it was a good thing for him to do that.
Yes.
I really do.
And I think, too, the folks that work with him are going to take away his cell phone so he doesn't tweet on Twitter, because that's probably what caused him the $12 million.
It very well could be. And but I think, didn't the stock price go up?
The stock has rebounded today.
So the world responded by saying it was a good thing.
Yes.
Or at least temporarily. And
yes.
I happen to agree with it. I think sometimes loose lips sink ships, and I think sometimes he spread himself too thin like peanut butter. I mean, he just can't do everything everywhere all the time, and he can't be the man of the hour every hour.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to let a car company do its thing, and you can't really be broadcasting and piping out and tweeting all the time. we run into that problem with not just that type of scenario, but we run into it in politics quite a bit lately. We've been running into it. So,
Yeah, I've
Right.
heard rumors about
but
that.
yeah, as long as your actions are strong
Right.
and what you're doing is right, I can turn a blind eye to the tweets and everything, but it does get annoying.
It does. Okay, so the last electric vehicle note here, Tesla's electric vehicles plus the Nissan Leaf, the Chevrolet Bolt, make up a tiny fraction of the U.S. light vehicle sales,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But they'll have plenty of competition in the next 2 years with more than 60 electric and plug-in hybrid models slated to reach dealerships through the year 2020.
That's a big number, 60 models.
60 models.
And I believe sales, I think it's a dismal number in percentage. I believe it's like 0.5 or 1% of total sales,
Right.
I believe, are electric or hybrid, vehicles.
Right.
But it's a number that's bound to go up, and it is going up. It's not something that everyone, I think
Message
there
is
was a
received from Scott Mesbell.
I think there was a lot of naysayers out there that thought possibly that this electric car or the hybrid, which was kind of started with Honda and the Toyota Prius. Prius had the Model 1 first generation, second generation, third. Now they're already on the fourth generation. Was only a flash in the pan, maybe an idea that was a good idea but wasn't going to take off. I think it's kind of like how the iPhone is. I think it's a good idea. I believe in it wholeheartedly. In fact, both of my shops at Crown Car Care, our shop over at Cove Road and our shop in Palm City, we're both all hybrid certified. We work on the electric cars day in and day out. We're proud of them. We have the capabilities, the equipment, the manpower, as well as the knowledge and the smiles and the expertise to get your job done with your Prius, with your Accord hybrid, with your Civic hybrid, with any hybrid. You have a Sonata. Hyundai even has a hybrid, the Sonata. We can help you with that vehicle, whether it be a maintenance question, a
New message is received
simple
from
wiper
Scott
blade,
Mesbell.
or maybe even how to put air in those tires, or how to deal with an electric vehicle and what are the changes in maintenance that you'll see with an electric vehicle, and how does it play into how you drive it or how much you service it. How often do you change the oil on a hybrid?
Yeah.
That's a good question because it's not running all the time, is it? Yeah, I mean, there's a good part of the time you're using the electric portion, so it's a much different deal. In fact,
You're probably not going to have the same, but because of the
it's an Atkinson cycle 2 engine. It keeps the exhaust intake valves stay open a little bit longer on the engine to increase efficiency. Not quite as much power, but the efficiency's increased because you're sucking in more oxygen and more
Right.
combustible materials for a little bit longer period of time. That's what the Atkinson engine is.
All right.
Therefore, it gets a little bit more efficient, but it's not quite as powerful. Okay, so
All right.
how does that affect with the oil getting dirty? How does it affect how long should you change it? Is the time frame still the same? A lot of the old rule of thumb was every 3-4 months or 3,000 or 4,000 miles when you do an oil change. That's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
How does that come into play with an electric car? How does that come into play with a hybrid? Electric car, obviously, there's no motor, right? None.
Yeah.
So you don't have to deal with it. You still got cabin air filters. You
Right.
still have wiper blades, right? You still got brakes. There's still a lot of things on a vehicle besides the internal combustion motor that we have on electric cars,
Right.
as well as hybrids. Hybrids have both. So the game hasn't changed with hybrids. Maybe the time that you change it has.
Yeah.
And that's something we can help you with at Crown Car Care. Just give us a call, 772-781-8000. You call us up and we'll help you. That's
Nice.
as simple as that.
Just that easy.
Here's some simple, good facts that we have. We have some fun facts here.
Yeah.
We're trying to make it a fun day today. And I know everybody loves the cars talk and car stuff. Here's one for you. Steve Jobs, Apple creator. He never had a license plate on his car.
New message is received
California
from Scott
law
Mesbell.
gives drivers 6 months to get a driver's license plate or a license plate on a vehicle. So Jobs traded his vehicle in every 6 months, so he was never required to have a license plate. How interesting is that? That's kind of different.
Mhm.
I never knew that. And I don't know what his strategy was. I don't know if he wanted to be, not seen, not knowing his license plate, or was he doing it to buck the system? I don't know. I don't know what the angle was.
He was philosophically against having a license plate, and he would do anything he could to not do it. But you and I both live in California, and
Yes.
you have to pass an emissions test.
Yes,
You have to pay
there's
for
heavy rules in California above and beyond. If you think rules are tight here in Florida in regards to what you can and can't do, especially as a business, my gosh, you go out to California, they're about telling you everything you have to do.
that, right?
Good state, Sunshine State, got some good basketball teams coming out of there over there. Golden State Warriors. You got Stephen Curry up there in San Francisco area. That's a fine basketball player.
Yeah.
Right, Max?
Yeah.
Fine basketball player. My son Max is
He's trying
he's
to pattern himself.
sidekicking here. He's learning how to do it because I may come down with laryngitis here.
You never
So
know.
I don't know what's going to happen. Could be the Frank and Max show, right? Max, you there?
he's
Can you
listening.
say hi?
He's listening.
Give us another fun fact there, Frank.
Okay, every year over $60 billion worth of car maintenance goes unperformed. And what does that mean?
That's a big number.
$60
I'll
million.
tell you, that's a big digestion here to take place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's break
Let's
that
look
down.
at let's
Yeah.
look at this. Okay. So everyone's by rights. So let's just take oil changes.
All right.
If we all did our oil change like we should, change our oil every 3,000 miles, 4,000 miles. Synthetic can go a little bit longer. Not much longer though, I'll be honest with you. If you want to have a car that's going to last, it's not going to leak oil, burn oil. Take care of it. Change the oil, maintain the darn thing. So by uncaptured maintenance is the way I would look at it.
All right.
Is it causing issues? Well, it can cause pollution issues. It can cause safety issues. I don't know. Attached to that number, do we have maybe accidents related to braking issues? Another factor that comes into play with all this is state inspections. Think about that.
Yeah.
Some states have state inspections where the brakes are inspected, the headlights. I know in New Jersey, in
The wiper
Pennsylvania, they do it. You have to go through every year. I don't know if it's every year or 6 months, but you got to not only run it through for pollution purposes, but they want to check everything to make sure it's good. How do I feel about that? I have opinions both ways. From being in the business so long, I find some people are inherently lazy and don't care about doing the right thing.
Right.
And some people need to be steered into doing the right thing. So on that side, I agree with state inspections. On the other side, we have people out in the world who take care of everything perfectly. For them, it's a big hassle to have to go to a state inspection, and I agree with them too. So where do you meet in the middle? I don't know.
Yeah.
But my take is that
I
there's
see it both ways as well.
I see it both ways. The guy that's got his act together, takes care of his world,
Yeah.
keeps things on the up and up. He doesn't need anybody telling him that he's polluting because he's doing the right thing anyway.
Yeah.
Right? If he's out changing the oil himself, if he's working on his farm tractor, he's not going to dump the oil into the ground or dump the antifreeze into the river. He's going to take care of it and be a good citizen. Now, there's other people out there that are going to do it. If you turn a blind eye to them, they're going to do it right away.
Right.
So regulation is, depending on who you're trying to regulate, is whether I'm in favor or against it. If you weigh both sides, I don't know. I shrug my shoulders and let the politicians figure it out. So that's my opinion on it. But the undone maintenance is a big number, and that's people that forego maintenance, and you've seen it out there, people.
Sure.
How many brake lights have you seen burned out? How many cars have you seen smoking and puffing out just gobs amount of diesel or gobs amount of black smoke as they accelerate from the traffic light? How many times have
fun, isn't it?
rolling coal is what they call it.
Yeah.
They call it rolling coal. These diesel
And you
guys.
hate to be behind those cars because you could smell that right
Oh
in
my
your ear
goodness.
end.
How many times have you gotten on 95 and you got a car that maybe has a bad oxygen sensor or is running real rich? It'll about stink you out.
Yeah.
The heavy fuel smell.
Yeah.
So that's that number that you're talking about here, the undone maintenance.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it has to do with these states that don't do inspections.
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of, it's called shirking your duties.
Yeah.
Shirking is an interesting word. It means you're not doing, you're scapegoating the system for your own benefit, even though the benefit needs to be done. You need to do it for the benefit of society, but you're doing it for the benefit of yourself.
Right.
And a lot of times, a lot of this maintenance really affects other parties.
Okay.
It really does. Think about that.
Sure.
Safety. What happens if someone had a braking issue and they rammed into you from behind because their brakes didn't work? Or their ABS system was malfunctioning because the ABS light was on, or their tire light was on, and it caused them to have to swerve. And because they swerved, it caused them to oversteer, and it caused them to go into a ditch. They got hurt. Then the ambulance had to come out and help them. And all that taxpayer money, it just upstream and downstream from any discussion, it adds up.
It does indeed.
Not only with money, but lives. I'm gonna
Okay.
give me another one.
What is the most commonly, what's the most common paint color on a car? What's the most popular paint color on a car?
Max, what's the most popular paint color on a car? Give us a guess.
Probably like a red or black.
What'd you say?
A red or black.
Red or black?
He said red or black. What do you
Alright,
say,
I don't
Frank?
know.
I say white.
White. Yeah, I think white is the answer.
It is.
Yeah.
What's the most expensive paint? I owned a body shop for 10 years. What do you think the most expensive paint is?
I would have to say red.
Red.
Yeah.
That's right. It's
Yeah.
color.
It's because you have to use synthetic pigment and it's very difficult.
That's
to
right,
see.
Frank. You do have a history with paint, and you know. And
Red
we
is
could
tough.
talk about
Yeah.
the history of blue.
Oof.
With indigo blue and indigo.
Yeah.
Many years back in the 16 and 1700s, blue was rare.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really was.
Sure.
In fact, blue jeans, indigo blue, people dye their blue jeans. That was a big game changer, the blue.
It was.
That's right.
An airbag inflates within 40 milliseconds of a crash. Imagine that.
So 40 milliseconds. So 40 millionths of a second.
Yeah.
40. Okay, let's take a second and divide it into a million parts,
Right.
and then we'll take 40 of those,
Right.
and that's how long it takes to inflate.
Before it clicks from 1 second to the second
That's
second,
fast.
it's already inflated and exploding in your face. By the way,
I'd rather have it explode on my face.
Yeah.
My face explode on the.
on the dashboard.
Anyone know where a dashboard came from? By the
Tell
way,
me,
people?
do tell. What is a dashboard?
How about dashboard? Has anybody heard of the word dashboard, and where does it come from? Anybody out there know? Give us a call.
Yeah. that is
Please
a-
call us.
That is a good trivia question.
It's a good question, and it's one word, by the way.
Dashboard.
Dashboard is one
It's
word.
a compound word.
It's a compound word, but it is one word. It's not hyphenated. It's connected, so it's one word.
Mhm.
Well, everybody on the seat, on the edge of your seat, hold tight.
Yeah, there we go.
Mr. Todd's going to read the answer here, and I'm going to explain what a dashboard is. The term dashboard actually comes from the time of horse-drawn carriages. The dashboard was a piece of wood attached to the front of the carriage to keep mud from splattering the driver as the horse galloped.
That's pretty
That's a
important.
dashboard.
Yeah.
It dashes. The horses are dashing,
Right.
and they stuck a board up there to keep the drivers protected and the passengers protected from the mud coming up from the horse's hooves.
Who's? Yeah.
Dashboard.
That
I'm
makes sense.
dashing in through the snow
Right.
in a one-horse open sleigh, and I
Right.
got my dashboard on there to protect myself.
There it is.
That's a dashboard, people.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, yeah. Well, how about sideboard? Isn't that from when you serve food? The sideboard is on the side of in your family room or living room or
Yeah.
dining room, right? Sideboard. The
Yeah.
sideboard's another word.
Yeah.
Close to it, right? Sideboard is where, and if you go into some old-fashioned family restaurants, a lot of times the sideboard is where they have like all you can eat stuff, right?
Yeah.
The sideboard, go to the sideboard, get more bread and salad dressing and rolls and stuff. The sideboard, as opposed to the dashboard. Now, the dashboard keeps you clean.
Right.
The sideboard keeps you full,
Yes.
right? So you need a sideboard and a dashboard at the same time.
And now the dashboard in a contemporary car is just a big dust collector.
It is a big dust collector, isn't it? Oh, it's plastic and leather and rubber and all kinds of electronics
Now,
and
my
parts.
very first car that I drove was my mom's '61 Chevy.
61 Chevy.
Bel Air,
Yes,
right?
Bel Air.
V8.
Now, Bel Air was named after a place, I believe a place in Italy, isn't it? Bel Air? I
Well,
think so. I have to look it up and get back with you on
Yeah,
that. But a
yeah.
lot of the old cars were named after like Monte Carlo,
Yeah.
Bel Air,
mhm,
Right.
mhm, yeah.
Biarritz.
Yeah.
Biarritz, I think is another place.
Right.
Okay. Continue on the story, sir.
But yeah, anyways, so 2-speed hydromatic, right?
2 speeds.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, they speed
0
like
to
that.
60 in 10 seconds.
Now they have transmissions. Okay, here's something for you. The new Mustang GT.
Yeah.
Mustang GT.
Right.
I have an 07 Shelby Mustang.
Oh,
So I have
nice.
an 07. It's a manual transmission, 6-speed. The automatic transmission in the new Mustang GT,
Mhm.
how many gears do you think it has? Automatic.
Automatic, how many gears?
How many gears, Max, do you think it has? Give us a guess. More than you
Pick
think.
a number.
Pick a number.
Pick a number, any number.
Between 1 and 10.
Is it between 1 and 10?
1 and 10.
Alright. Let's go with 8.
He's close. 10.
10.
10 gears.
10 gears.
So when you drive a
I
lot
would
of,
have guessed 8 too, Max. So,
the number is 10.
Yeah.
So when you're driving, and you know why they do it, don't you?
oh,
Drivability, which is how smooth and it runs.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's linear.
make you feel like you're just riding in the couch.
That's right, linear.
Yeah.
And the other is fuel economy.
Yeah.
So if you can keep the engine at its optimal RPM range
Right.
for fuel economy,
Right.
then to do that, if let's say we keep the engine at the same RPM, Then we use the gears to get us up to speed as long as we have enough torque and horsepower. Then we're in the catbird seat.
Yeah.
Catbird seat? What's that? That's another word, catbird seat.
That's right.
That's an old-fashioned word from literature.
It is.
Catbird seat. That means you're sitting pretty.
Sitting high above everything else.
Yep. If you're a catbird, what are you doing? You're looking at all the birds down there getting ready to eat which ones. That means you're high,
Right? And in the
Then
old
there's sour grapes too.
sailing vessels, they had the bird's nest,
Yes.
which is where the watch took place, right?
Or the catbird.
Yes, the catbird
Catbird would
watch. Would watch for rocks and other vessels and things of that sort.
So the learning lesson here is
Yes,
engines and cars are becoming more advanced,
right.
and by that we're able to get better mileage out of them
Right.
from a fuel standpoint. If we're using the internal combustion, they're doing it by adding gears
Right.
and keeping that engine in its optimal sweet spot. That's
Okay,
how they do it.
we're going to take a break.
Let's
When we
take a
come
break and
back,
come back.
We want to find out how much gas does it take to start a car?
Oh,
That
that's
is
interesting. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I can't wait. See
All
you
right,
soon, guys.
Stay tuned. How much gas do you think, Max?
In gallons.
Yeah, you measure it in gallons or ounces. Tell me.
Brought to you by Code Red Roofers. Code Red Roofers
2 gallons?
calls you back.
To start a car.
Finishes
Yeah.
on time.
Okay, it
It's
takes
728
a half an ounce.
Code Red Roofers, the roofers who respond.
Oh, to
Now
start
with our
a
Treasure Coast forecast, here's meteorologist Steve Villanueva.
To start a car, half an ounce.
You're absolutely beautiful out there. Just
How many ounces in a gallon?
Here and there, otherwise,
Um,
cloudy. Overnight tonight, we'll see
128, I think. 128. Yeah.
Run that by me.
How many?
How was it?
I was going over the fuel.
Yes. How much?
How much does it take to start a car?
How much? What's their answer?
Your answer is
Weather this hour has been brought to you by Code Red Roofers. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the program host and guests, and are not necessarily those of this station, management, staff, and sponsors.
All right, now it's time for today's Southeast AgNet Report, brought to you by Everglades Farm Equipment. A family-owned business for the past 50 years with 10 Florida locations, including Fort Pierce, Okeechobee, and Loxahatchee. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with that answer to that trivia question.
Crown Car Care. Get help and advice from our expert master mechanic and owner, Todd Harris, by listening to Crown Car Care Talk on WFTU. Mondays, call us at 772-781-8000 or visit us online at crowncarcare.net.
Join the program every Monday evening at 5 p.m. or stop by Crown Car Care, 3982 Southwest Bruner Terrace in Palm City, or 4455 Southeast Cove Road in Stewart. Celebrating a favorite fall-time fruit. That's coming up on this land of ours. It's time to rethink what you know about clean American propane.
The first cars did not have steering wheels. I remember that. They had a lever.
That's
Like
interesting.
fighter
Like
pilots.
a tiller almost, I think.
Yeah,
It's called a tiller is what they call it. Yes, we'll talk about that.
Eliminate fuel theft, lower hourly fuel costs, reduce downtime. Propane can do all of that. Discover all the things.
Every American would spend 2 weeks of your life sitting at a traffic light. I think
2 years of your life. That's a good number.
Yeah. Yeah. It happens to me when you live in Detroit. It happens all the time, or California.
When it comes to the issues, there's simply no room for gray area. To us, this is clearly black and white. Just join ncba.org to learn more.
October is National Apple Month. It's a time to promote the sales of apples, as well as honor the people involved in getting them from the farm to our homes. New York really is the Big Apple. New York is the second and California round out the top 5. There are more than 100 apple varieties grown commercially in the U.S., which include favorites such as Crispin, Macintosh, Fuji, Red Delicious, Gala, and Honeycrisp. One medium apple is about 95 calories. It contains 17% of the recommended daily fiber and includes vitamins B and C. Apples are one of the healthiest foods a person can eat, and it can reduce the risk of cancer, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes. Apples also contain no fats and no cholesterol. I'm Kathy Eisen, Southeast AgNet.
Hi, this is Tamara from Crown Car Care. Get help and advice from our
If every
expert
moment of your life
mechanic
is on display, it's time for SelectWine.com. Right now, save 30% on all clients at SelectWines.com. Visit SelectWines.com to keep your business going.
During the program every Monday evening at 5 p.m. or stop by Crown Car Care, 3982 Southwest Junior Terrace in Palm City, or 4455 Southeast Cove Road in Stewart.
Yeah, I gotta put a sticker over that.
Well, then you don't want someone like that operating heavy machinery.
No, you do not.
Your check engine light is on.
Yeah, I gotta put a sticker over that.
That's deferred maintenance. What was that number that we talked about? $86 billion?
Yeah.
I know who's doing it. The people with the stickers. I love it.
Okay, so the trivia question was, how much gasoline does it take to start a car?
About a teaspoon, I would think.
Yeah, it takes you're about right, because it takes a half an ounce of gas to start
About
a
a
car.
teaspoon. About a
Yeah.
teaspoon.
Yeah. And do you know how far a teaspoon will take an average car?
Gee, that's a good question. I don't know. 10 feet probably.
Length of a football field.
Okay.
Once it gets rolling,
Yeah, add it on. It's shockingly less than you think.
you think of so when you see a teaspoon of gas, what you're looking at is potential energy.
That's right. Well, think about it this way. Let's say you have a car
Yeah.
that gets 35 miles to the gallon.
Right.
Take a gallon of gas
Mhm.
with a spray thing like you'd see for pest control.
Right.
Now drive down the road
Yeah.
for 35 miles and keep misting that gallon of fuel. I think you run out after about 10 miles doing it. So you can see how little it takes.
Yeah.
Think about that. Misting,
Yeah, constant.
or just
spritz.
fill a gallon of water. Take a gallon of water and put it in a spray bottle.
Right, and just keep squirting.
Squirt it as you're driving. You'll see how little it takes to keep it going. It's really a good example.
Yeah.
Very interesting. It
Yeah.
actually takes a lot less fuel than you think to keep her going.
Right.
Although I have seen some of these bigger engines take a lot more fuel. They burn about 5 or 6 miles a gallon. I believe we can see it pouring into the engine, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, especially those V12s.
Yeah. Here's an interesting fact for
All
everybody.
right.
Toyota, as you know, is the world's largest car manufacturer.
Mhm.
Every day they produce around 13,000 cars.
Okay.
Ferrari, on the other hand, is a very boutique,
Yes.
high-end, exclusive car
Right.
that we all, I think, like.
Yeah.
Most of us. Max, do you like Ferraris?
Oh, yeah.
He does. Max
Right.
gives us the
We
nod of
get- we-
approval.
we
How
get-
many of those do you think they make a day?
How many do you tell?
14.
14 Ferraris a day.
14 to 13,000. That's a huge, that's like what, 1%? Not even that.
So they're hand.
1%, it's less than 1%. It's
Yeah.
1/10%, right?
Yeah. And Tesla just announced today that they're building a new tent
New tent.
to store their cars that are coming off the assembly line because they're not getting them shipped out. Remember, they were talking about logistical issues,
Yes, yes. So they're having over
but at least they had supply issues.
supply chain issues, which is
Right.
the raw materials that it takes to make something. Now they have delivery issues upon completion,
Right.
which is a whole nother angle.
Right.
That's a whole nother
So-
monster to
so,
compete with.
So they're completing the construction of the vehicles, but now they got to store them somewhere.
Okay.
So a faulty oxygen sensor accounts for how much of all the check engine light issues? How many percentages?
I'm going to guess about 20%.
40.
That's a big number.
40%. That's why I did that little.
That's a big number
thing
there, Big Frank.
That's from Big Bang Theory, by the way.
I love Big Bang.
Yeah.
And that was a funny little thing you played. I liked it. You just cover up the check engine light.
Yeah.
That's all you do.
That's
That's
what you-
deferred maintenance.
Right.
It's part of the 86 billion, so what? Here's an interesting thing. Speeding. Frank, have you ever gotten a speeding ticket?
Probably
Ever.
have, yeah.
Can you remember any of them that are memorable?
Yeah, the most memorable one was the time I got pulled over because I was speeding through, where was I, Nebraska, right?
Okay.
It was like I-80, it was like just the middle of the night, I was going just as fast as I could
Fast as you could.
to get through that state. And
What kind of car were you in?
I was in my 74 Malibu Classic.
74 Malibu Classic, people.
Yeah.
It's a classic. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I got pulled over, and so I profusely apologized.
Yeah.
And he wrote me a warning. He says, just don't do that anymore. And I limped all the way into the next state.
Your ego was deflated and
Yeah.
you were broken.
Yeah. But,
My worst speeding ticket was going to college.
Yeah.
There's a huge stretch of interstate. I went to the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, which is in mid-state Illinois.
Yeah.
And back in the old days, I went 82 to 86. So I've been somewhere in between there. An airplane had clocked me. I guess when you're in an airplane, they use fixed points and they use
Yeah.
a stopwatch and they can
Yeah.
determine how fast you were going. I don't know how fast I was going. It wasn't a huge ticket, but I got a ticket
Sure.
for speeding.
Yeah. And you can't argue those.
No, because that's actually calculated. That's actually, you got human brains involved. It's not even equipment. This is,
Right.
they used to have, I don't know if you remember on some of the interstates, you'd see lines on the road. That was so they would have a starting point and a stopping point.
Correct.
And they'd use a stopwatch.
Yeah.
And that's how they would do it. And then they'd radio in. Because remember, this was days before computers. 82 to 86, we didn't have laptops, didn't have
Right.
cell phones. We used radios or
Yeah.
the police radios,
Yes.
which was how they communicated. And they would radio ahead, of course, because you'd have to have somebody ahead,
Right.
couldn't be behind, or else they'd have to catch up to me. And they pull you over, and they know the description of the car, they know the color. I don't think they would know the plate number, though. I'll be honest with you. I doubt they would know the plate. They
That's
probably
true.
know the car.
Right.
If you think about that, they would not know the plate unless they had some high-powered binoculars, which I doubt. They're busy clocking you to see how fast you're going.
Exactly.
They would pull you over.
Satellites from space can tell you what your plate is.
I know that's a scary. Well, that's why Steve Jobs never had one.
I think good.
Big brother.
All
right. So the most expensive speeding ticket ever given
Yes.
on this planet was given to a man in Switzerland.
Switzerland.
He was driving 180 miles an hour.
Good. Night, Irene.
In Switzerland, fines are proportionate to the amount of income a person makes.
Aha.
He was fined $1 million
$1 million
for speeding 180.
I wonder if he had to go to driving school too.
I don't know. How did they get the money? Would he just write a check for it, or
Yeah.
did they take it out of his account? Can you imagine $1 million fine?
Stroke a check.
That's a big. He's probably.
Pay the man.
I wonder what he was driving. I'd be interested to know what he was driving.
Well, he was driving 180 miles an hour. He's probably driving a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, or something of that stature, right?
Here's one for you, Frank.
Yeah,
The
all right.
Honda CRV,
Yes.
kind of an SUV,
Yeah.
average, middle of the road, middle class car.
Right.
First and second generations of Hondas came with a standard flip out picnic table.
Oh, how cool.
Never knew that. It was also optional was a shower kit for the back. A shower kit.
Shower kit.
So I guess it was a camping.
I had a camper that had a little shower.
You did?
Yes, I had it.
Was it solar? Did it heat the water up so you
No,
had a
no,
little
no,
bag?
no,
or
no.
You actually had a holding tank and all that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another interesting one, and then we're going to branch off into some car stuff.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about car maintenance and parts is what we're going to talk about.
Sure.
The Ford GT is so strong. The Ford GT, which is, if any of you know Ford or any of you follow some of the supercars, Ford's come out with the second, well, it'll be the third generation. The first generation was the Ford GT, which is used back in Le Mans, back in the middle 60s when they did racing with Carroll Shelby.
Right.
Okay, that would be the Ford GT. The second generation GT would be the one that came out in between, I think, 06 and 09. It was the first generation. They sold new for $160,000. They're going upwards in $300,000-$400,000 a piece. The newest Ford GT is a V6 turbocharged, twin turbocharged V6
Nice.
premium car. If you've ever seen pictures on the cover like Road and Trucker,
Right.
etc. The Ford GT is so strong that during the roof crush test, it broke the crushing machine.
Whoa.
That's it.
That is strong.
True story.
That
Yeah.
is strong. Those
They-
machines have a
Yeah, that's how they
tremendous
test, and a lot of that was started with Consumer Reports, I believe, would
Right.
do a lot of the crash testing,
crash.
and now you have the federal government involved.
Right.
And I believe a lot of the manufacturers, in-house, they have their own equipment just to see where they're at before they go before the audience,
Yeah.
whether it be the federal government or the Consumer Reports or whoever. The insurance coalitions have groups of insurance
UL.
companies that are put together that test all this stuff to get rates and how survivability on a car and how safe it is, etc. But the roof crush test on the Ford GT, it broke it on the third generation Ford GT.
That-
Very interesting.
Very strong.
And here's what I can say: compliments to Tamara, and you've probably heard her voice
Yes,
on
we have.
some of her radio spots that advertise our show.
Mhm.
Is our research guru behind the scenes that does all of our fine research that enables us to provide you with all these fun facts and all this great information to make this show what it is. And
Yes.
a big shout out and a big thank you to Tamara Harris
Yes.
out there for providing all this great information. Yoo-hoo! Yahoo!
Yes.
Bravo! Keep
Yeah.
up the great work. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, let's march off into our third segment.
Okay.
And I believe we started this afternoon, and we're getting down to the last part of the second half, aren't we?
Yeah.
How'd it go so fast?
It just does. Yeah. It's the fastest hour in radio.
It is the fastest. Well, it's a car show.
Yeah.
Of course it is. It's a car show, and we talk about going fast. In fact, if we drove to the moon at 60 miles an hour, how long would it take you to get there?
How long would it take?
Here's another good question for you people out there. How long would it take you to drive to the moon at 60 miles an hour? 6 months.
Wow.
6 months, Max, to drive to the moon. Who wants to go with me? How much of our lives do we spend sitting at traffic lights, people?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
See, Frank knows his stuff.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Compliments of our secret
I
behind the
felt-
scenes investigator.
I think I've spent all those 2 weeks already.
Have you ever fallen asleep, close to falling asleep at the light?
Yes.
I've done it a few
Oh,
times.
yeah.
I've done it. I've done it. I think it's more prevalent now.
Guilty. Yeah.
And I will tell you something I've
Yeah.
noticed now at traffic lights.
Okay.
I
They
have
take too
noticed the
long.
courtesy horn beep when people are on their phones. People don't get mad anymore. Have you gotten that yet? The
Yeah.
courtesy horn?
No, toot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm finding we're providing it as a service to the person in front of us without anger.
Yes.
Am I right on that?
I think you are.
I think there's a whole social
There's
cue going on here. There's a whole
Social
pecking order of
dynamics at
social
play.
dynamics at play here, and people are not getting mad.
And speaking of car horns, what key do car horns work in?
You've got me stumped there.
The key of F.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Big Frankie amazes me every time
Oh,
we on this
thank
show.
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. We're taking a break
All
here.
right.
All right. Good. Fun. How was it? That's good. Enjoy it? You want to do it next week? You and Frank?
I can't do next week. Unless it's school.
So when's your next game?
Saturday.
Saturday.
Doubleheader or single? No one.
Who you playing?
I don't know.
They've been winning the game. Right?
So,
Yeah.
I think it's our last game.
Are we going to be in the playoffs? I think we will be. We're going to win it.
Cool.
And in February, we're going to go to a Miami Heat game. They'll get to play out on the court. Scrimmage game before the game. That'd be fun. Yeah, it's like a little package. That we
Yeah,
get.
yeah.
It's fun.
Oh, that
We've
is-
done it in the past. It's really fun.
Yeah. Football has that, you know, the punt,
Do they really?
pass and
Oh,
Kick.
Pop Warner
top corner. Yeah.
podcast. Yeah. I never did much. I tried it 1 year and I failed miserably. Didn't much do it. I wasn't a big football player. Yeah, per se. It was good. I was a good receiver.
Well, that's good. Got good luck.
Unacknowledged, though. Unacknowledged. Except in gym class. Then everyone wanted me to catch him. Long hands. I didn't drop him.
That's not bad.
No fumble fingers.
I miss it. They're all
Thank you, Steve, and WSTU weather this hour has been brought to you by Code Red Roofers.
Hi, this is Tamara from Crown Car Care. Get help and advice from our expert master mechanic and owner, Todd Harris, by listening to Crown Car Care Talk on WSTU. Mondays, call us at 772-781-8000 or visit us online at crowncarcare.net.
Join the program every Monday evening at 5 p.m. or stop by Crown Car Care, 3982 Southwest Bruner Terrace in Palm City or 4455 Southeast Cove Road in Stewart.
Let's going to get this, burn this spot, and we'll.
Oh, go ahead.
15.5 weather is brought to you by Code Red Roofers.
So,
Calls you back, shows up and finishes on time.
first windshield wipers were hand operated. Can you imagine?
On the dashboard
Yeah.
with the tiller, the steer.
Of course, the first cars, folks don't know this, were electric cars. Oh, man.
Anywhere from 30 to 50% chance, daytime highs right around 80 degrees for that Wednesday. Absolutely beautiful weather as much drier air returns to South Florida. Thank you, Steve. And WSTU weather this hour has been brought to you by Code Red Roofers.
You are listening to WSTU, Stewart, Chesapeake, Old Martin County's Heritage Station.
Welcome back for the last quarter hour of our fabulous automotive and car talk show with Big Frank. We got Max here, and then you got Todd over here on the sidelines trying to navigate. So this last part of the show, we're going to talk about car parts,
Okay.
why it's important that we have good quality, why it's important that you have a warranty, and why it's important that we even talk about it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read a fact here that
Okay.
kind of talks about, again, back to this deferred maintenance and why there's unspent money on car maintenance. The average age of the domestic nameplate car in the U.S. reached 14.4 years in January 2018. That's the 27th straight year for an increase, according to the Lang Aftermarket report. That's 2.2 years higher than in average age than 10 years earlier. So in 10 years, the average age of the car has gone from 12.2 to 14.4. That's a big number when you talk about averages.
Yeah.
You think about that. I mean, you know what average is. You
Yeah,
take the high, the low,
it
you add it together, and you
Takes
divide
a
it by
lot
two.
of numbers to move it.
It takes a lot of numbers to move a rolling median average.
Yes.
It really does.
Yeah.
And I can tell you the average age of the car is increasing,
Yes.
which means Crown Car Care becomes more relevant. Having a relationship with a good, reliable, honest shop is relevant. And why I say this, it's relevant, because right here in Martin County, you have the opportunity to solicit I guess the word is what, patronize.
Yeah.
And I ask you to come to Crown Car Care, call us on the phone, ask us, we'll help you. We'll make that ownership of the vehicle, we'll try to make it painless. I can't say it's going to be painless because if your car breaks
Yeah.
and it's broken, we'll try to make it as least intrusive as possible. We'll try to do as minimal surgeries as possible. And we'll try to put the best parts on that we can. And that's why I'm leading into what I'm talking about. We're going to try, at the best of our ability, Boy Scouts honor, that we're going to put the best parts on that we can that are within the price range that you need to be in. And I say that the price range you need to be in. And I can give some examples of where maybe a used part even can come into play. It's not what I'm advocating, but I can give examples where we might need to discuss that.
Yeah.
How important is it that when I'm doing maintenance on your car, whether it be an oil change, whether it be a set of wiper blades, whether it be a set of tires, brakes, if I'm doing a tune-up with spark plugs, whether I'm doing an air filter, a cabin filter, is it important out there that I at Crown Car Care and the people that work with me put on quality parts for you to purchase and have on your car to ensure that you have good quality and good longevity on the service that we provide? I would argue it is important that we have good quality. Because I will tell you out there in the world of automotive, there is poor quality. And you won't know it. If you shop by price alone, I can assure you, you will be stuck with poor quality parts. Because we know too good of a deal to be true is what? Too good of a deal to be true.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to tell you, you might be able to find a
If it
closeout.
sounds too good to be
It's
true,
good.
it probably is.
I'll give you an example of a wheel bearing.
Okay.
A wheel bearing is
Yeah, I was
something.
going to ask you about this earlier in the show because we were talking about electric cars. You know, you still have to deal with the
You
wheel
still
bearings.
wheel bearings. Now, wheel bearings are something that we're seeing a lot more failures of than we've ever seen in the past.
So-
And do you know why?
Metallurgy.
Metallurgy, and also in that Malibu that you said you got the speeding ticket in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ah.
If your wheel bearings needed to be greased or repacked, it was a serviceable operation that the technician or mechanic could take the wheel off, take a cotter pin out, take a nut off, and pull, whether it be the brake drum or the front brake rotor, off of the spindle, clean the bearings, repack them full of grease, and tighten it all up with a new grease seal and call it a day.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You really didn't put any parts on other than maybe a new grease seal and some new grease and clean it. Today's wheel bearings aren't that way. They're sealed, just like a skateboard.
Yeah.
Think of a skateboard or a roller blade. Those, when you spin them, they just keep going. Or those fidget spinners that people had recently that everyone was buying. That's a sealed bearing with grease that's inside the bearing, and it's sealed inside, encapsulated, and a lot of times it's pressurized. I mean, it's sealed up tight. There's no maintenance on it.
Right.
And the reason why we do that is for precision.
So they're talking about making those kind of bearings up at the space station or a like facility.
Yeah, where you have zero gravity and you can get perfection,
Yes.
right? You can get a perfect sphere.
Yes.
Because inside of a bearing, I'm not going to get too much into the details, you've got little round balls, like looks like a BB,
Right.
that are spinning around a thing called a race. And between the actual wheel and
Right.
the actual spindle, which has the race on it, those ball bearings are kind of making the wheel float around. And it spins, just like if you took that fidget spinner that your child, daughter, or son has, and you spin it on your finger, it keeps going, right? The inertia of you spinning it makes it keep spinning until the friction of the bearing makes it stop. Well,
So the more friction you take out of that bearing,
the better gas mileage you'll have, and the better the less rolling resistance. That's another key term in the automotive world: rolling resistance. How much rolling tires come into play too?
sure.
That's how much you don't realize. Most people don't realize. And people don't realize the rubber compound and the design of the tire can drastically affect up to 5% gas mileage.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that, but it really comes into play. And you think about the worst extreme, think about a big snow tire. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look at some of these big trucks that you see on the road with the big aggressive treads.
Mhm.
Up north, when you're in the snow, you got to have those suckers. In fact, when I was a boy, it was a rite of passage. Every spring and every winter, we'd take the snow tires that were down in the basement. We'd go to the local service station, which was Rouse's, where I used to work.
Mhm.
And my dad would get the tires switched over in the back.
Yeah.
Hey, Frank, do you remember that?
Absolutely.
The rite of passage.
Absolutely.
Getting those tires, and then as spring would come around and the snow and ice would melt, you'd hear the howl of the tire, and then your wife or mom would say, "Hubby, it's time to go get the wheels switched out." And
Yep.
go down to the basement or wherever you kept them. We kept ours in our basement.
Sure.
We'd wheel them up the stairs and we'd take them over to the service station and they'd swap out the tires. We didn't have another set of rims, so they would actually break the rims down and swap the actual tire out
Exactly.
on the rim.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's a good time to clean the rust off because up in the north, rims would get real rusty.
Yeah.
Nobody had aluminum wheels and high performance. Back then, it was all steel.
They were.
Okay, so
They
the
were
bearing.
Yeah.
So now bearings are sealed.
Mhm.
If I tell you you can have a bearing for $80 or $160, do you think there's a difference?
Yeah.
There's going to be a quality difference, not a price gouging difference.
Mhm.
And that's where I'm getting into this quality thing. Right? If I buy and put on the bearing that is the cheaper quality, you're going to think you got the deal. Oh my gosh, Crown Car Care gave me the deal of the deals.
Right.
Everybody else said it was $300 and they did it for $220. But behind the scenes, little does anybody know that if I had done that, I would have had to put on a cheaper quality bearing. And I would have been shortchanging you, the customer.
Right.
And I won't do that at my
And you
business.
end up spending more on gasoline too.
You're going to spend more on yours, and it's going to fail real quick.
Yeah.
I can assure you that cheap quality parts don't last. I have been in this business since I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
I'm 54 now. I've been in it a long time. And I've yet to see the deal of the deal on parts where it's so inexpensive yet so high quality. It doesn't happen today.
Right.
So at Crown Car Care, we have a balance. I'm not going to put the most expensive part on. I'm not going to put the cheapest part on. I get right into the sweet spot where there's good warranty on the parts, where I have standing behind the manufacturer. Most people don't realize I have relationships with the manufacturers and the distributors behind the scenes that I have to keep up those relationships. So heaven forbid, one of the parts I put on your vehicles has a failure. I can stand behind it and fix it for you, and I at least have a backbone and a leg on up on the manufacturer to go to and put leverage to get another part as a replacement part and get you back on the road. That's one of the reasons why at Crown Car Care, I will not, and I promise you that, people out there, I will not put on a cheap part for the sake of cheap. I won't do it because you're going to be bit in the long run. You're going to be unhappy. You're not going to like their service. You might think I'm the friendliest guy in the world, and you might think the guy putting the part on is the best that you've ever seen. He may have all the certifications in the world, but the most qualified technician, the friendliest shop, if they don't put on quality parts, it's all a waste.
Yeah.
It really is all a waste, and it really is makes me sad when I see so many shops out there that put on poor quality parts for the sake of profit.
Right.
Now, I'm not even going to get into the angle of selling cheap, buying cheap, selling high. It's not what we do at Crown Car Care. We put on quality parts, we make a fair markup and a fair profit to keep our business and doors open, to pay everybody and keep everyone afloat, and at the same time satisfy you and be competitive in the marketplace. So when you leave Crown Car Care, you're going to have a fair price. You're going to have a leg to stand on with warranty. You're going to know you're getting quality parts, and you're going to know that when you leave our business, you're going to smile knowing you got the best deal out there. And that's what I can promise you at Crown Car Care, both our locations, at Cove Road as well as Palm City.
All right.
That's right.
And your phone number is 781?
8,000!
Wow.
781, Max, what's the number?
8,000.
781,
8,000.
781, Frank?
8,000.
8,000. Give us a call, Crown Car Care. We're here to help.
All right. We'll see you next week with another
Thank
exciting
you, Frank.
show.
That's right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
That was a good one. I enjoyed that. That was fun.
Thank you, sir.